Welcome to Millennium Daily News. This is Ifat Fatima with top stories. Trump vows to appeal against travel ban ruling to Supreme Court. Nearly 100,000 Iraqis flee battle for West Mosul. Security beefed up at airports, prisons. Dhaka reiterates zero tolerance to terrorism. Wall Street ages up on gains in technology, bank stocks. And Bangladesh lead by 129 runs with Saqib's century. Those were the headlines, now the detail. A defiant Donald Trump has pledged to appeal against a federal judge's order placing an immediate halt on his revised travel ban, describing the ruling as judicial overreach that made the United States look weak. In granting the temporary restraining order in response to a lawsuit by the state of Hawaii, U.S. District Judge Derek Watson found that a reasonable objective observer would conclude that the executive order was issued with a purpose to disfavor a particular religion. Earlier, U.S. District Judge Theodore Chong issued a nationwide preliminary injunction in a similar case in Maryland brought by refugee resettlement agencies represented by the American Civil Liberties Union and the National Immigration Law Center. President Donald Trump will ask the U.S. Congress for dramatic cuts to many federal programs as he seeks to bulk up defense spending, start building a wall on the border with Mexico, and spend more money deporting illegal immigrants. In a federal budget proposal with many losers, the Environmental Protection Agency and State Department stand out as targets for the highest spending reductions. Funding would disappear altogether for 19 independent bodies that count on federal money for public broadcasting, the arts and regional issues from Alaska to Appalachia. Trump's budget outline is a bare-bones plan covering just discretionary spending for the 2018 fiscal year starting on October 1. It is the first volley in what is expected to be an intense battle over spending in coming months in Congress, which holds the federal purse strings and seldom approves president's budget plans. U.S. homebuilding jumped in February likely as unseasonably warm weather boosted the construction of single-family houses to near a 9.5-year high, suggesting the economy remained on solid ground despite an apparent slowdown in the first quarter. Other data showed a drop in the number of Americans filling new applications for unemployment benefits last week, pointing to a further tightening in the labor market. The fairly upbeat data came a day after the Federal Reserve raised interest rates for the third time since the 2008 financial crisis. Fed Chair Janet Yellen told reporters that the U.S. Central Bank was sending a message that we have confidence in the robustness of the economy and its resilience to shocks. Nearly 100,000 people have poured out of West Mosul in less than 3 weeks, the IOM said recently, as Iraqi forces advance in their battle to retake the area from jihadists. Iraqi security forces launched a major push last month to recapture West Mosul, the most populated urban area still held by the Islamic State group with an estimated 750,000 residents when the battle began. Iraqi special forces units and police have made steady progress in the area, forcing IS out of a series of neighborhoods and retaking important sites such as the airport, Mosul Museum, train station, and provincial governmental headquarters. Now, Millennium News on Bangladesh topic. Security has been beefed up at airports and prisons across the country following the suicide bomb attack on the proposed site of RAB headquarters at Ashkona in the city lately. Under the new security measures, jail guards have been advised to wear vests while on duty and rigorously screen inmates before taking them to prisons, said a senior officer at the Department of Prisons. There will be strict surveillance around all the jails, and the forces have been instructed to take appropriate measures if they notice any suspicious activity, added the official. Besides, tight security measures have been taken at all airports across the country, said Rashid Hassan, commanding officer of Armed Police Battalion. Additional checkposts have been set up in the airport's areas. Center for Policy Dialogue, a civil society think tank, said Bangladesh exports will face an additional 6.7% tariff on an average once it graduates from the LDC status permanently, resulting in an estimated export loss by $2.7 billion in the preference offering countries. The CPD stressed the need for designing a well-crafted graduation strategy to face the reality beyond 2027, when Bangladesh will face MFN tariff, possible tariff among WTO members in exporting its goods. Currently, Bangladesh enjoys preferential market access to varying degrees and extent in markets of more than 40 countries. Unless Bangladesh manages to renegotiate through bilateral agreements as part of regional trade arrangements, it will have to face MFN tariff rates in exporting to those markets beyond 2027. CPD Distinguished Fellow Professor Mustafizur Rahman said at a dialogue in the city. Reiterating that there will be no room for terrorism and militancy in Bangladesh, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina urged all again to remain alert so that students and children do not take the wrong path of terrorism, militancy and drug addiction. A new phenomenon of terrorism, militancy and drug addiction has emerged in the world. It's my fervent call to people from all strata of life, including guardians and teachers, to create massive awareness so that students and children do not indulge in these menaces. I will urge all to pay special attention to this, she said. She also said if awareness could be raised, the country will surely be freed from terrorism and militancy. Besides, our government is very firm in this regard. There will be no room for terrorism and militancy in Bangladesh, and we are taking right steps in this regard. Titaj gas household consumers in Dhaka's Gulshan, Banani, Baridhara, Basundhara, Badda, Khilkhet, Cantonment, Mirpur, Uttara and adjoining areas are going to get prepaid meters by May this year. To install the prepaid gas meters, Titas Gas Transmission and Distribution Company Limited signed a contract with Japanese firm Toyokiki Company Limited. Titas Gas took the project to install prepaid meters for 200,000 household consumers in Dhaka city with financial support from the government and Japan International Cooperation Agency, said a company press release. Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan has reiterated Bangladesh government's zero tolerance to terrorism. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has declared the stance of Bangladesh against any sort of terrorism and violent extremism. He told the third counter-terrorism conference that ended in New Delhi on lately. Indian Vice President Hamid Ansari inaugurated the three-day conference organized by India Foundation at a local hotel, said a press release. Referring to some recent acts of terrorism in Bangladesh, the Home Minister said the situation was brought under control due to relentless efforts by the law enforcement agencies and active cooperation from the general mass. Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina gave financial assistance of Taka 1 crore for the treatment of Dr. Sabrina Nusrat, wife of Bangladesh Air Force Squadron leader Mohammad Mahmudul Hassan, from her Relief and Welfare Fund. The Prime Minister handed over a check for the amount to Dr. Nusrat at her office. Prime Minister's Press Secretary Ihsanul Karim told reporters Chief of Air Staff Air Chief Marshal Abu Esrar was present on the occasion. Dr. Nusrat was critically injured in a fatal road accident in the front of Hotel Radisson Blu in the capital on October 19, 2016 on her way to the hotel to join a workshop. Viewers, now Millennium Business News. US stocks opened slightly higher as Oracle boosted the technology sector and bank shares gained after the Federal Reserve raised interest rates for the first time this year. The central bank raised rates by a quarter point to 0.75 to 1%, responding to the continued strength in the labor market and a pickup in inflation. However, the Fed stuck to its outlook for 2 more rate hikes this year and 3 in 2018. Shares of big U.S. banks, which slipped on the less hawkish than expected stance, were up about 0.7%. The general point-to-point inflation rate was 5.31% in February, a slight increase from January's 5.15%. Revealing the date from the Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics, Planning Minister AHM Mustafa Kamal attributed the rise in the inflation rate to increase in the price of beef and edible oil. Food inflation increased to 6.84% in February from 6.53% in January. Non-food inflation, however, came down to 3.07% in February from 3.1% in January. In rural area, the inflation rate increased to 5.14% in February from 4.92% in January. Overall inflation at the urban level in February also increased to 5.62% from 5.57% in January. Culture Secretary Karen Bradley has asked regulators to examine Rupert Murdoch's 21st Century Fox's takeover bid for Sky. In a statement to Parliament, she told MPs that media regulator Ofcom and competition regulator the CMA would be asked to investigate the deal. 21st Century Fox is offering £11.7 billion for the 61% stake in Sky it does not already own. The company said it was confident the takeover would be approved. UK interest rates have been kept unchanged at 0.25% by the Bank of England's rate setting committee. However, one of the 9 who sit on the Monetary Policy Committee, Christine Forbes, expressed concern about inflation and voted to raise rates. It was the first time since July last year that the vote to maintain rates had not been unanimous. Analysts said it indicated the Bank of England could be closer to raising interest rates than they had thought. A generational divide in UK households' income growth has been confirmed in the latest government figures, but incomes are little changed in the last year. Average household income rose by 1.4% in 2015-16 after adjusting for Department for Work and Pensions shows. Working-age household incomes have been stagnant since 2007-8 compared with a 10% rise for pensioners. Yet 14% of pensioners' households are still on low incomes. The DWP figures also show that in 2015-16 rises in pensioners' incomes stalled. A number of reports and previous data have shown that income growth has been faster among pensioners than working-age people since the financial crisis. Viewers, now Millennium Environment, Science and Technology News. Undoubtedly, the Nintendo Switch is one of the first technological hits of the year so far. The hybrid console system that works both in a traditional home setup and on the go is very popular with buyers. Sales are definitely slowing down in Japan, which is a critical market for Nintendo. The good news is that the gaming giant decided to significantly ramp up Switch production, aiming to double the original number of consoles in planned to produce this year. The Wall Street Journal report Nintendo plans to make 16 million Switches in the fiscal year starting April 2017, twice as many as originally planned. The first naturally fluorescent frog was discovered recently in Argentina, almost by chance, a member of the team of researchers told AFP lately. Argentine and Brazilian scientists at the Bernardino Rivadavia Natural Sciences Museum made the discovery while studying the metabolic origin of pigments in a tree frog species common to South America. Under normal light, the frog's translucent skin is a muted yellowish-brown color with red dots, but when the scientists shone an ultraviolet light on it, it turned a celestial green. The heat traces left on the smartphone screen after typing the PIN or swiping a pattern could give away one's secret code, warned researchers. All one needs to steal the code is a thermal imaging camera, as thermal images reveal what parts of the screen were tapped, even after it is left untouched for 30 seconds, The Atlantic reported. At an upcoming conference on human-computer interactions to be held in the US in May, researchers from the University of Stuttgart and Ludwig-Maximilian University of Munich in Germany will present in a new study how pins or patterns can be extracted from the heat signature left on the user's smartphone screen. Viewers, now Millennium Sports News. Bangladesh lead by 129 runs in the first innings after Mosaddeq Hossain was stumped off Rangana Herat, falling for 75 runs on his test debut. Before that, they lost the remaining 3 wickets inside 18.1 overs in the third session. Mosaddeq and Mehdi had, after tea, batted steadily in the 131-run 7-wicket partnership. There was only one boundary in the 12 overs they batted after the break, ending with Mehdi falling leg before to Herat after making 24 off 50 balls. But Bangladesh continued to put together partnerships in the second session, the next being the 131-run stand for the 7th. Barcelona defender Jeremy Mathieu has apologized after being pictured with the middle finger raised following the stunning Champions League comeback against Paris Saint-Germain. Mathieu was seen making the gesture on an Instagram photo posted by teammate Xavier Mascherano in the aftermath of the 6-1 win at the Camp Nou that overturned a 4-0 deficit from the first leg. He said he and his teammates had been motivated by PSG's lack of humanity following the game at the Parc des Princes, and particularly by one post that featured Adrien Rabiot and Levin Kurzawa. Opener Lokesh Rahul struck a fluent half-century to lead a strong Indian reply after Australia's keeper Steve Smith's marathon knock helped the visitors post a formidable 451 in the third test. The hosts were 120 for 1 at stumps in Ranchi, with Murali Vijay and Cheteshwar Pujara batting at the break. India still trailed the visitors by 331 in their first innings. Earlier, Smith's unbeaten 178 was the bedrock of the tourist innings, which also featured a maiden test century by all-rounder Glenn Maxwell. In reply, Rahul showed resolve against a probing Australian pace attack before falling to Pat Cummins on a sharp rising delivery that got the batsman gloves for an easy catch to the left-arm spinner. Ravindra Jadeja claimed his 8th 5-wicket haul in his 29th match to return with figures of 5/124. Before ending, the headlines are once again. Trump vows to appeal against travel ban ruling to Supreme Court. Nearly 100,000 Iraqis flee battle for West Mosul. Security beefed up at airports, prisons. Dhaka reiterates zero tolerance to terrorism. Wall Street ages up on gains in technology, bank stocks. And Bangladesh lead by 129 runs with Saqib's century. This is all for now from Millennium Daily Newsroom. To get any kind of news, please visit to our social website facebook.com/millenniumtvusa and youtube.com/millenniumtvusa. Besides, to get the most updated news, please log into our website www.millenniumtv.org and millenniumtvusa.com. Stay with Millennium. Allah Hafiz.